Thank you all very much. Thank you, Alejandro, for that kind introduction. Not a single day goes by that I am not blown away by the tireless HRC staff, and I want to thank each and every one of them for the work they do for this organization and this movement. And by the way, how amazing is Hillary Clinton? Isn't it clear why a majority of the American people chose her to be President of the United States? Thank you for being here, Hillary, and for continuing to use your powerful voice for good. And thanks to each and every one of you for being here tonight, especially my sweet Southern mom and stepdad who are here all the way from Arkansas. Needless to say, it has been a very long 281 days since Donald Trump took that oath of office. Not that any of us are counting. Honestly, it seems like forever ago. But before Donald Trump and Mike Pence, the future seemed brighter for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. We still had a long way to go, but we as a community had more and more reason to feel hopeful. I think a lot about the young people who had only known the progress we achieved under President Obama. Young people like my friend Lucas, an amazing kid who just graduated from high school in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where my sister is a counselor. At 14, Lucas came out as transgender, and he immediately began transforming the world around him. Lucas traveled around the state, educating other students and teachers about what it means to be transgender, and he even became an HRC youth ambassador. And like so many young people growing up in the Obama era, he knew the future had so much to offer him, and he was determined to seize every opportunity. For Lucas, that meant going to college and joining the ROTC, so that he could serve our country in uniform. But 3 months ago, a tweet turned Lucas's world upside down. I'll never forget the moment when I saw an email from Lucas in my inbox with the subject line, "Military Ban." My heart sank. It was the day Donald Trump tweeted that he was banning trans people from serving in the military. And Lucas reached out to me that day, hoping that I could tell him this wasn't an end to the future he dreamed of. Lucas is here tonight with his mom, Connie. And Lucas, I want you to know that regardless of what the madman in the White House says or does, HRC stands with you. Every person in this room tonight stands with you. And I promise you, you will achieve everything you set your mind to. All of us here tonight, we must reclaim the future of this nation for Lucas and for everyone out there who today feels less hopeful and more fearful because of Donald Trump. But listen, I get it. Living through this moment can be truly exhausting. Every time we think this president's behavior can't get any more erratic, that his words can't be any more repugnant, like clockwork, a news alert lights up on our phones to prove us all wrong yet again. And let's be honest, it's tempting to want to simply give up, tune out, and turn it all off. But you know what? That's exactly what Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and the entire cabinet of deplorables are hoping we'll do. They want us to stop paying attention. They want us to stop paying attention long enough for them to implement their bigoted blueprint for America. But we can't give in. We can't grow complacent. We can't back down. And together we've got to hold Donald Trump's tiny little hands to the fire every single day. And for these past 9 months, that's exactly what we've done. We've marched in the streets and we packed town halls. We've called, lobbied, and urged our lawmakers to protect our most fundamental rights. We've defeated horrendous nominees like Mark Green, Trump's bigoted choice to replace this nation's first openly gay Secretary of the Army. We've exposed lie after lie through a dedicated research and rapid response war room that works day and night to call out this administration's shameful actions at every turn. We've joined as plaintiffs in a federal lawsuit by Lambda Legal and Outserve SLDN, challenging this president's unconstitutional assault on trans troops. And we've stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies across movements to defend the rights of all Americans. And our resistance, it's working. Just look at what happened when this president tried not once, not twice, but 3 times to rip away health care from 30 million Americans. More than 65,000 of you, HRC members and supporters, called your senators, lobbied your representatives, and made your voices heard. And today, Planned Parenthood's doors are still open and the Affordable Care Act is still the law of the land. So yes, this resistance is critically important. But even while we're resisting, we're also mobilizing to win. And if anyone doubts what we can accomplish when we all stand together, you tell them to go see how former North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory is doing these days. Last year, we showed the country and the world what happens when politicians try to use our lives and our families to scare up votes. After Pat McCrory launched that unprecedented attack on our community with his despicable HB2, HRC organized, mobilized, and we turned out hundreds of thousands of pro-equality voters. And together, we not only defeated Pat McCrory, we sent a powerful and profound message that if you come for us, we'll come for you on Election Day. And today, we're replicating our model from that victory in battles nationwide. Thanks to your support, we've launched HRC Rising, the single largest grassroots expansion in this organization's 37-year history. It's critical that we organize and mobilize the 10 million LGBTQ voters in this country, which, by the way, is a voting bloc that's larger than the margin of victory of every presidential election since 1984. But we're not just targeting LGBTQ voters. We also need to turn out the 52 million equality voters that we've identified, family, friends, and other allies. Folks who are willing to make a candidate's position on equality the deciding factor in who gets their votes. Through HRC Rising, we're deploying dozens of full-time field organizers. We're registering voters, recruiting volunteers, training new activists, and mobilizing equality voters to elect candidates up and down the ballot. And on top of our sweeping 50-state strategy, we're laser-focused on 6 must-win states: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. Because if we're going to put a stop to this president's hateful agenda, if we're going to pass the Equality Act and accelerate the pace of our progress, then we need more pro-equality champions in Washington working alongside us. And I hope they don't. But if somehow Alabama votes to send a crazed zealot like Roy Moore to the Senate, then we're going to make damn sure Tammy Baldwin and Kyrsten Sinema are waiting in that chamber to greet him. It's on us. It's on all of us to seize this moment. We must seize it for everyone who still encounters discrimination and bigotry. We must seize it for trans women of color who face an epidemic of hate violence. And we must seize it for this next generation, so that 4 years from now, Around the time that Lucas will be graduating from college, LGBTQ young people all across this country will turn on their TV and not see a president attacking and demeaning them, but a president signing the Equality Act into law. Now, this fight ahead of us won't be easy, and we certainly won't win every battle. But I promise you, we will win this war. We will win because of each and every one of you, our grassroots army of 3 million strong. Never before have we as Americans been more eager to participate, to advocate, and to fight back. And when we all emerge from this national nightmare, when we prevail in 2018 and 2020, it is this president's catastrophic compulsion to bully, to lie, and to divide that will have sparked a great awakening of our democracy. Throughout our history, America's journey towards the promise of a more perfect union has faced countless roadblocks. For every step forward we take, there are some trying to drag us 2 steps back. But it's through those setbacks that our greatest movements and our fiercest fighters have emerged. From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, from women's suffrage to the Women's March, from farm workers who organized to immigrants who dare to dream. And this movement, the LGBTQ equality movement, like so many others, is forged from fire. It was harassment by police that led LGBTQ people to fight back at Stonewall, sparking a nationwide movement. It was our government's own murderous inaction to the thousands of lives lost to AIDS that led thousands more to declare that silence equals death and awakened the world. It was DOMA that led an 83-year-old lesbian widow from New York to take her case to the highest court in the land and win. And it was the cruelty of Ohio's leaders that made the world know the name Obergefell. It is during these moments of great struggle and strife that we rise. It is through our resistance to tyrants and our persistence towards justice that we change the course of history. So, my friends, let's do as Harvey Milk said and give people hope. Let's recall the fierce urgency of now. Let's remember that yes, we can, and that we are stronger together. The next chapter of our great American story is waiting to be written, and we, a people who turned heartache into action, who forged a way to conquer hate with love, who taught the world the power of pride, we will be the ones to write it. Thank you all very much. Thank you.